Alright, so I was asked to explain a little bit about my poem that I wrote recently called Our Dreams for This World. Um, this poem is not the easiest one I've written. The words did kind of just flow to me for the most part. Um, I did get stuck in some areas with some of the rhymes. But overall, I think it came out the message that is intended through this. This is a poem written for people that are trying to help other people in any walk of life. So at any point in time, if you were trying to help someone, uh, this would be a view of what the we would be. So or the our, the pronouns in this situation would be that. Um, so let's get into it. So I have it on here now. I don't. My cursor disappears when I go over the thing, so that's gonna give me a hard time. I don't know why it's doing that. It's just started doing that recently, I think. I haven't noticed it beforehand. Um, but either way, come gather around the fire. Can this should say so. So see, even now, I find small little typos, and this is my. I write this in Google Word documents, and then copy paste it to Substack, just because it gives me a little bit more freedom with the auto save, and I don't lose the ability to or the lose my work because the app decides to crash for some reason, right? So this is again, my cursor is messed up right now, so kind of uh wasn't intending to um change anything, but as we go through this, I may feel the need to change some more stuff. So, and again, this is a typo here too, so it's lowercase s. Anyway, so when you the fire and desire, right? Um, those are pretty good rhymes. Most of my rhymes are in the 90 to 100%. I do have on my. See, it doesn't. I don't have it on my thing. I have a rhyme checker to check to see how close or approximately close how my rhymes are with my words. If I find a word that doesn't rhyme exactly, I may still use it. Depends on how well it fits the situation, right? So, like, uh, I don't know. Our so our dreams for all mankind is this is the legacy we want to leave behind. Let our words carry our message far and wide, to be the in your heart, your mind, and deep inside. So, here there's a couple things like even if you the mind and kind. I'd use the cursor with the mouse, but it's not fucking showing up. Um, the mind and kind behind even goes into this mind here, right? So like mankind behind mind, those are all rhymes and they pull inside. But this deep inside makes it rhyme with the wide. So like even though this rhyme doesn't happen at the end of the sentence, a lot of people's brains can still pick up on these words rhyming in context of one another. So you don't necessarily always have to rhyme at the end of the sentence. You can rhyme in the middle. You can rhyme at the beginning. A lot of people use just the same statement over again and then change what, like a lot of I statements and stuff like that. But here I was trying to explain a little bit at first, what, like the preamble. So any type of real writing, right? You have the introduction, right? You have the introduction to the piece, and then the piece itself, and then the conclusion, right? So this is part of the. I mean, it's the whole piece, but the parts of it are broken down. Like there's a small introduction, and then it gets right into that. So I don't know. Maybe I should put a space in here, like an enter. Maybe I can find my mouse. And deep inside, maybe an enter here to break it up. Because the next part starts into the message, right? That person that you hate because you can't agree, is your mission to love them unconditionally. So this is just a rewrite of the golden rule of treat people how you want to be treated. To love your neighbor as yourself. You should love yourself unconditionally. Anyone that told you otherwise was lying to you. All people should be able to love themselves in the most intimate way that anyone should be able to love anyone else. So loving yourself is very important, and that love can be transmitted to other people, right? So you love yourself the same way that you love other people. Now, obviously, people have problems where that they don't love themselves, but that was taught to you usually, that something changed your way of thinking. You didn't automatically hate yourself from birth. That's something that's ingrained into you over years. So that humans start treating all humans the same, whether they change their gender or change their name. I find it important to draw attention to the transgender problem that's going on in the United States and more recently globally, that I've become aware of. That once they see that the U.S. is okay with doing this, that other fascist regimes are starting to at least voice or make it more apparent, or the media is just covering it more. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with it, but the point of the matter is that trans rights are human rights, that just because someone may be confused or want to dress as a different gender or feel more comfortable acting as if they were a different gender doesn't mean that they are invalid or not capable of being loved or not important enough to be showed love. Everyone should be showed love at all times from everybody. The world would be so much better. But that's kind of like that's a little statement that you want to treat everybody the same. Then that's not saying that we want to treat everyone how Trump's treating everybody, or just how how everyone is like just that humans don't always treat other human beings. They rarely rarely do humans actually treat humans like they are equal. So I think it's a very big civilization problem that we have. I think it's a socialization problem that we have. Um, a lot of it stems with, I think, religion and the fact that you have to alienate another person so that you feel like you're higher than them for some reason. I I have a different view on religion because I was treated poorly, but um, so this is understanding each other's point of view and notice, hey, that person's a person too. This should be this, hey, hey, maybe I did capitalize it, but I want to add an exclamation point here and maybe even a comma. Because I want the reader to draw attention to that. Um, hey, that person's a person too. Two again rhymes with view, name, same, unconditionally, agree. These are all rhyming words. If you look at the stanzas, they all are about the same length. That helps with spacing and timing. For like everyone deals their own struggle. The dreams they find are, in dreams they find the perfect snuggle. It's almost like they're the same amount of syllables, so that it flows more freely off the tongue. Everyone deals with their own struggle. In dreams they find the perfect snuggle. I mean, rhyming struggle with snuggle, and this is like a double-edged thing, right? So snuggling is something that is very, very calming and relaxing to a lot of people. Some people it's anxiety ridden because because of the way they've been treated. But for the general reason, like perfect snuggle, I'm talking about you got that perfect person that that one that you can't live without. You know, you get that perfect snuggle. You don't want to snuggle with anyone else. You know, that's I try to find like deeper meanings in the words, not just that they rhyme. You know, this that they yeah, I picked the word because it rhymed, but the the message that it's trying to convey is that no matter what you're going through, you deserve to have that love, that companionship, that bond with somebody else, that they are there with you forever. And you know, a lucky few of us have that. And I'm lucky that my wife even talks to me still after the shit that I've put her through. But that's a different topic. I could control it like this, I guess. You guys can see where the cursor is a little bit if I do it with my arrows. Snuggle, we would like people to just stop being mean, realize that their words would take the life of a teen. So again, drawing to social inequalities, our juvenile mental health is really lacking in the country that I live in the U.S. That our teens are taking their own lives and taking the lives of their classmates and teachers and anyone else they can find, really. That they're taking those final acts just because people were being mean to them. They're calling them out because they had zits on their face, or that they talk with a lisp, or they have a shorter leg, than one leg shorter than the other, or one arm shorter than the other, or you don't have an arm, and you know, like anything that makes them not fit what that other person deems as being the ideal person is a ammo for them to pick or ridicule on that person for. And just because somebody's different, or they had gone through a different struggle, just because someone's covered 90% with burns all over their body, doesn't mean that you can be mean and call them Scarface and like those type of stuff that hurts, and it it eats at somebody's desire to live. And a lot of people, a lot of teens nowadays are taking that step to end their lives because of the struggles that they are facing with their peers. And I wanted to draw attention to that. And then none of us are exactly the same. If we were, this world would be quite lame. Variety is the spice of life. Like if you went through life and all you got was white bread for every meal of every day, you that you there'd be no there'd be no excitement. There'd be nothing to look for. It's like, oh, another. Yeah, of course, there's nourishment. Yes, thank Lord for providing us with the foods that sustain us. But if it was the same thing over and over, this person and that person are exactly the same, then the world would be boring. It would be unexciting. They'd be like, oh, yep, just another run-of-the-mill person. I think that and that's what I say next, right? If we must celebrate each other's uniqueness. Some people's stories will leave us speechless. So the celebrate each other's uniqueness, everyone's unique. There are not even twins have different personalities. They may act or say the same thing at the same time as someone else and be more in sync than to other people that aren't twins with each other, that do not share the genetic makeup. But even twins differ in likes and dislikes, and what one loves, the other one might despise. So this our uniqueness, and people's stories will leave you speechless, because the stories that people have are all unique, and everybody's been through something that's worth talking about. So there's been a near miss at a car accident, or at a carnival, or I saw this crazy thing happen. Those stories are all valid. They all have meaning. They're all part of who you are as a person, your stories. And to get those out is really what all of this is about on Substack. I feel is that you get your story out there. You put it out there the way that you want to be able to put it out there. I choose poetry for the most part. I do have some rants that I went on, or essays that or stuff, but I choose to use poetry as my medium. I said this time to stop teaching hate is now. We rely on the parents, but they don't know how. So no, I'm not changing that. No. All right. So, but I'm just checking to see what it thinks that it should be. But sometimes the computer is not as smart as me. So we let me remove that out of the way. The time to stop teaching hate is now. We rely on the parents, but they don't know how. They don't teach you to be kind in school. They tell you to, but they don't they don't enforce it. Like you can be bullied all day long, every day, for weeks on end, months, school years, entire classes, entire grades that are spent being ridiculed and belittled by all of your classmates, and you tell everyone that is around you that this is what's going on, and the police are called, and detentions are handed out, and demerits are handed out, but it still never changes the fact that they continue to pick on the other child, that they continue to ridicule and tease the other child, that they're different, that they don't belong. They want to make sure that they know that they don't belong with them. Right? And that's because it was taught, right? They were never taught to love when they were young. They were just taught to hate and fear those who don't belong. Now, see, this is where I was talking about the approximate rhymes, right? Young and belong don't really rhyme, but they have such a similar sound that in this setting, as things are rhyming over and over again, it's hard to pick up on that this is I just saw this. And I put belong in quotation marks because nobody belongs. Everyone belongs. Everyone and nobody belongs at the same time, at all times, because there is no group. We're all the same. We're all humans. We all belong. If one person doesn't belong, then none of us belong, because you're different than them. Just because you're saying they don't belong, they could say you don't belong. You're just as different from them as they are from you. There's no way to tell who's right or who's wrong, other than there's more people telling their children that these are the people that don't belong. And we need to stop that. So I wanted to put that in there, that that's how they were taught, but we need to break that cycle. We need to break that generational abuse. Picking out a person's each and every flaw, saying, "Oh my God, did you see what I just saw?" People are quick to point at the groups. They're quick to point at the flaws that other people have. They're quick to point out, "Hey, that person right there has no eye." Like, why draw attention to the differences in everybody when everybody has differences? Like, it'd be one thing if you were like, "Hey man, I see you don't have an eye. Could you tell me what happened? You tell me your story." Like, there's got to be a story about how'd you lose your eye, like what's going on. Be intriguing, be more questioning about what. Just don't make fun of it because that person doesn't have an eye. What? I don't understand how that could be funny at all. The person's struggling to you're lucky that you have two eyes. Most people have two eyes, but some don't. Some have less than one even. So, like, to make fun of someone because they have some type of flaw or something that you see as a flaw does not give you any right to draw attention to that flaw that you have seen, right? So this is more like a statement about what other people are doing, right? Picking out each and every flaw, saying, "Oh my God, did you see what I just saw?" And then as we pull it back biblically, even in the next line, we pull it back biblically. That it says, let the person with no flaws throw the first insult, because if their victim kills themselves, it's they're at fault. Now, so biblically speaking, if you go all the way back to the New Testament, there is a person by the name of Jesus Christ. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him before or not, but he told the people that were getting ready to stone a young woman because of some sin she did. I think it was adultery at the time, but because of, or prostitution, one or the other, but because of the sin, they were going to stone her to death. And he famously says the person without sin should throw the first stone. And one by one, each of the villagers dropped their stone and went about their day, because they knew that they too were sinners. Everyone's a sinner. Just because you have, just because you see that sin as wrong, doesn't mean that person sees that sin as wrong. It doesn't mean that it is wrong. It means that it doesn't agree with what you believe. So what you believe doesn't necessarily affect anything else for anybody else. Your beliefs are completely yours. So you can, I don't know how to, that I'm just saying, like, I'm not recording this again. I've already recorded this so many times that I lost my train of thought is what the problem is. Where was I at? All right, let the person with no flaws throw the first insult, right? So to modernize it, to lessen it down from killing somebody to make it more palatable for the general public, is that, there's no flaw that someone else has that you should be calling attention to. And if you do call attention to it and you do it enough, you can result in having that person take their own life. And that would be your fault for insulting them, for driving the wedge into their mind that they aren't worthy of this life that they've been given. Let's move on. Let's see. Racking their minds can be so racking their minds, being kind is just so easy. So why are these people deciding to tease me? Why do these people decide to tease me? Right? So this is a personal question that I felt fit the overall message. Again, it rhymes. Not all these things were put together like in order. So I think this racking our minds could be just so easy. Why do these people decide to tease me? Was written later, and then I moved it up to this point because I felt like it made more sense here than it did later. That's a design thing. If you choose to do that with your writing, to go through and move one stanza from the beginning towards the end because you feel it's going to be more dramatic, or that it just flows better with the message, then you can go ahead and do that. It's your art. That's why this is art. So you build these words in a way that it invokes emotion, that it invokes truth, that it invokes someone to look inside themselves and say, you know what, that's right. You know, we should be doing that. You know, the messages, at least that's what I try to do with my writing. I should use my I statements more. That's what I do with my writing. Everyone's different. You can write a completely opposite of what I'm doing and be at 100% good writer. I'm not saying I'm a good writer. I'm just explaining what I do, my process, which is kind of what I was asked to do, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was asked to explain my process. So, um, this is already at 30 minutes. I don't know if anyone's ever going to even watch this. So, if you are hanging on here, we have almost gotten to the end of this. So, bear with me just for a little bit longer. We'll go through this and break it down. I'll try to be quick. We want to build houses and homes, cottage cabins, and geodesic domes. I've always loved geodesic domes. I find them to be one of the most interesting forms of habitation. The obviously I picked that because it rhymed, but the we want to build houses and homes, cottages, cabins, and geodesic domes. The the idea is like we want to build stability of housing for the people that don't have it. For I'm homeless right now. I'm technically homeless. I'm not on my. I have a lease with my sister, but I don't live there. My kids do, but like I don't have. I'm not living in my car anymore, but my living situation is not the best. So I'd like there to be some way that people don't have to go through that. I have been homeless before. I've been living in my car for 2 years in Colorado. So, and I've seen these little cottages and cabins, these tiny homes get built in different communities, but it's just not enough. It's just not quick enough, and they use, expensive materials. I mean, everything's expensive now with all the tariffs and everything, but I mean, it was expensive back then to build these little tiny homes. Let's get back on topic because I am taking way too much of your time. So, anyway, for public to use and hopefully thrive, give to the outcasts a place to help them survive. So again, I'm talking about the houses there, giving them free to the public. I'm not sure if it was Finland, Sweden, or Norway. One of the three, I believe, if not all of them, have a housing no questions asked policy for people that come to an office and request housing. They are given housing no questions asked, and there's no conditions on the housing. And what they do also for those people is they provide them with mental health care, stability and support, and allow them to rebuild their lives. And when the people are able to, they move out and they're able to survive on their own. That's the idea of building each other up. So a community is only as strong as its weakest member. And until we realize that we have to build our brothers up, that we have to help them get their footing in life, that they're not going to be able to survive and thrive the way that people that have opportunity is. Together the lost, confused, and forsaken, to see their true self and start to awaken. So this is one of the things that goes back towards the hierarchy of needs. So you can't focus on a new need unless you've satisfied one of the more basic needs. Food, shelter, and clothing, I think is what they are. I'd have to look at them again, but I know food and shelter are definitely the hierarchy of needs are in the big three. That without those, you can't gain mental stability. Without housing and stability with your food, you can't have good relationships with people. That you're not in the right mindset. You're in a survival mode. You're trying to look what your was it your monkey mind, right? Your reptilian brain or your monkey mind is taking over to tell you you have to survive. We have to do certain things and screw people over and do this crime and do this and that. Well, if you had the opportunity to have your own home and you had your own things, then you start feeling better about yourself and you don't feel like you need to do those things, and you feel stable enough to go get a job. And when you get a job, you're in a stable living situation. You get enough income that you're able to move possibly out of that living situation to free it up for somebody else, and to then sustain yourself with yourself, self-sustain yourself. I don't know how to say that. I think that's how you say that. Anyway, show them that they are worthy of love, and contrary to popular belief, it doesn't come from above. Now, I wanted to say this is one of the things that this is one of the longest ones of this. Maybe that realizing words could take them as life as a teen is about as long. But I needed to have all of these words in here. I know it's a little bit more wordy, but I haven't figured out a way to move the words around in such a way to reduce the quantity of syllables in this particular sentence. So, now I could just leave the and off and say that the comma should imply an and, but I'm not implying an and at the end of my commas in any of my other commas, so that would be hard for the reader to understand that I implied an and here at this comma. So I have to put the and in there. But if I didn't have the and in there, and it was just, show them they are worthy of love, contrary to popular belief, it doesn't come from above, that would flow a little bit better than putting the and in there. But I think that the and is necessary to for this sentence for some reason. I don't know why I feel it's necessary. Maybe it's not necessary. Maybe you guys can tell me if I should leave that and off of there or not. Maybe it needs edited out. But I feel it's necessary to draw a little bit. I think it's the only and really that's in here. There might be another one up here in Disic Domes. There's not very many ands in here too. And contrary to popular belief, it doesn't come from above. So this is one of the things that just because somebody says Jesus is love doesn't mean that Allah isn't love, or Muhammad isn't love, or Buddha isn't love. It means that Jesus is also love. So in love doesn't come from above. If you actually feel love, it's coming from inside of you. If you pay attention to where that comes from, it comes from inside of you, and it comes from the ideas and the thoughts that you're having at the time usually. So that's where it comes from. The love isn't like radiating down like sunshine from above, from God and Allah and Odin or whoever, whatever deity that you choose to worship. That love is present in them. If you believe that they are a being, that love is present in them, and that love is being shared with you from them because of the things that they're doing for you. But you are the one that manifests the feeling of love within yourself. So that, I have a whole poem about love and the feeling of love, but the whole thing is like that pain or that deep most of us only feel love when something happens, right? You're either excited or you get a gift or somebody does something really nice for you and you're just taken back by it. That's when you really feel the love. Your body has a physiological response to the emotional or mental stimulus. But it's all controlled by the psychological and physiological body that you inhabit. So the love that I'm trying to say, show them that they are worthy of love. It doesn't I should say just even, so I should add a word even to this. It doesn't come from above. But maybe a just would fit in there, but that'd make it even longer. Anyway, it comes from inside. It just needs to be seen from other people, not just on some screen. So you can get emotions, you can get goosebumps, you can feel the love that a mother has for her sick and dying child in a movie, or you can feel the pain that mother feels if you felt something similar. But without knowing the reference point of what that pain feels like, you're only speculating, you're only guessing. Your body is trying to react to a stimulus it knows nothing about what it would actually feel like. So you can imagine what it would feel like to lose a child. I know what it feels like to have some lost pregnancies that me and my wife were hoping that would work out. But it doesn't feel, I felt the loss from it, but she felt the physical loss of it. Is very, miscarriage is very painful emotionally, psychologically, physically to a woman. It's not something that should be taken lightly. Whereas the man in this situation is almost untouched by the trauma that has just happened to their loved one. You feel for the person, but you don't know what that felt like to them. And a lot of things is like, if you could just feel someone else's pain, then you would know what they're going through and be able to show them that you care about them and love them to make up for that, I guess. Love is the one thing you get when you give. It will empower them to start fighting to live. So, this is like the ending statement of that thing. This is the concluding statements here. So this is the love that one thing. Oh, let me get you on there. This is the love is one thing you get when you give it and empower them to start the fight to live. So, again, I'm not a professional speaker. I don't have these poems memorized. They did just flow right out of me. I'm not familiar with a lot of the way that it should flow. I just know that the syllables in these sentences are about the same as the syllables in that sentence, and that's where I try to gauge it off of. Um, you know, but going off the statement that love is the one thing you get when you give, you give love, you acts of kindness, right? Random acts of kindness, compliments, telling somebody that you're thinking of them. You know, I'm a guy, so I don't message my friends to tell them I'm thinking about them. I'll send them memes and silly stuff like that. But the message is that I'm thinking about you. When I saw this, it made me think of you, so I'm sending it to you to see what you think about it. Is kind of what we like communicate that way. I don't know why it's more difficult for men to just check on their friends, but it has. I mean, unless nobody really cares about me, then I mean, I've only had a handful of people that have really even stayed in contact with me after we've stopped hanging out for whatever period of time, for whatever reason. So, you just fall off. And of course, when you get a hold of them years later, it's like, oh yeah, hey, how you been? No, there's nothing, hard feelings or nothing. It's like, well, you kind of just ghosted me. I messaged you like 6 times, but you didn't say anything back. So we just kind of stopped talking, But things like that happen. I'm really close with one friend for a couple of months. They might need more guidance or more help for that month, or just might need, someone to talk to or to hang out with for a little bit. And then later, the next month they don't necessarily need that level of support. And I'm okay with being, where I'm wanted, where I'm needed, and I'm needed mostly at home by my kids and my wife. So, so that's, anyway, I digress again. Now I'm at 47 minutes. This thing's going to be an hour long. Oh my God. Well, I'm sorry for wasting your guys' time, so much today. If you did watch this, then I hope it helped you learn something about some of my creative process, what's worked for me. If you have questions for me, then go ahead and DM me. I'm at Chieftain Adam Ward 420 on Substack. I think I'm going to be linked to this video, or I have to post this video, or something has to happen. I'll get a hold of, I think Anna's the one that's curating this endeavor, this writing group. But either way, hopefully it adds some depth to the poem itself, that you get some of what my intention was behind some of the messaging in the poem. We're gonna end here with the final 2 lines, which are not gonna, they're pretty open and shut here. Is this is the community that we want to help build, so they can learn and become professionally skilled and build. Kind of rhyme. It's like a 90%. But to build more dwellings than we ever could before, to allow more to walk through an open door, and then hopefully proliferate till it's needed no more. So at the end here, I like doing this on a lot of my poetry. Everything here is a second, right? 2 lines, right? So 2 lines, comma, period, comma, period, comma, period, comma, period. On this final stanza, on this final group of sentences, this final word, I make it a longer, more thought out, a 3 rhyme instead of just the normal 2s that have been going on. It adds a little bit more emphasis on that last little bit. It gives a signature closing to a lot of my poetry that this is the end. Once you see those 3 lines that rhyme, that there's not going to be any more after that. I mean, obviously, you can see this is the bottom of the page. I do have more. I got rejuvenating rains right there, but this sentence, to build more dwellings than we could before, right? So the more people that we have that follow this dream, this manifestation, that they are building houses and cabins and geodesic domes for people, that the people they build houses for will then build houses for more people, while the people were still building houses for more people originally already. And that's what I'm talking about, that it's proliferating. If you don't know what proliferate means, it's to generate, to exponentially increase one after another. You proliferate, you this exponential growth, right? So as you help more and more people, and they're finding this in a lot of third world countries too, as you find more and more people and bring them out of poverty and bring them out of slavery and really liberate these people from the chains that have bound them, then they become advocates and want to fight for the right that other people are saved, or other people are taken care of, because that's what helped them. And those proliferate into more and more and more and more people. So they're building, people that are rescuing people out of there. So this is Rejuvenating Rains here. I'm going to give you a little light. Hard Like a Diamond's my most recent one. But high above the heavenly sky, where the majestic eagles fly, all the clouds turn to gray, and the sunshade turns away. Droplets form and fall to earth, starting a rejuvenating rebirth, a downpour of life-giving elixir, this amazing chemical mixture. The grass, the trees, the cannabis seeds, filling everything's beings with the most basic needs, falling from the sky, blessing us all, the young, the old, the short, and the tall. Now there's a C at the end of there, that doesn't need to be there, but this is a bonus rhyming poem there at the end of this, just because you held on and waited for this long. So that was that. I hope that helps at least one person, or one person gets anything out of this. If one person is happy, then it was worth it to me. I don't value my time. I only just try to do the next best thing each moment. So, try to make the best decision at the time, and move forward. So, I've chosen to take part in this so I could try to help somebody. Like I said before, if you have any questions, if you want some pointers, if you think I'm capable of giving you some type of information that you don't have access to, it's easy to find rhymes for words. You can Google it. It's not cheating. You can Google a word, as long as it fits the message that you're trying to portray, right? So a lot of these I don't have to look up. I have a very large vocabulary in the first place, but some of them, it's difficult to, when you're looking at long or young, like what's going to rhyme with young, that I can use to still deliver the message that I'm trying to deliver. And, looking at the list of potential rhymes can sometimes help with finding that word. It'll be like, oh, abide. Abide will work here, and abide rhymes with alive a little bit, like, so like you can kind of put together. I hate that my glasses reflect the light and you can't see my eyes. I think it's very important that people see your eyes when you're talking to them. I have a complex about it, I guess. I don't know. It bothers me. But I can't see either without my glasses. So there's that. Yeah, so this has been about an hour with Chieftain Adam S. Ward of the Universal Unitarian Church of Inclusion and Elevation. I am a certified spiritual life coach, breath work, and design thinking coach. I am open for booking appointments and stuff like that. For my little plug here, you can go to Cannabliss, Bliss, BLISS, Cannabliss, all one word, CannablissCoaching.help. And you can book an appointment there. I have 420 friendly sessions, or you could smoke weed during our session and talk, and really get down to some of the things that you'd like to achieve and how we could go about getting there in your spiritual life, in your real life, in your emotional life. I am not a therapist. I am not a medical professional. I am not a licensed clinical social worker or anything like that. I'm just a guy that's lived through some shit, and I think I can help people. So, if you like my poetry, if you like my message, follow me and interact with me. I will interact back. Comment, post, DM me. I answer. I've been able to manage to answer every DM that's come across my inbox so far. So until that becomes hundreds of messages a day, I'm still going to be able to answer everybody that wants to talk to me about anything. So if you have a question, anything, you want some advice about your writing, or you want me to take a look at something, or you want to collaborate. If you want to collaborate with me, you definitely get a hold, and we can go over, a topic. What do you want to, work on? And we could sit and work on it together. So, all right. I hope that this is educational, entertaining, maybe. Thanks. Bye.